and welcome to Brands Hatch for the season opener of the Davanti Tyres MX-5 Cup. Now last season Ben Shaw took the title, however he's not racing this year, neither is the rest of the top four. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to have a new champion this year and let's kick-start it here at Brands Hatch. So I'll hand you up to our commentary team and Andy McEwen.
Thanks very much, Anthony. Yep, cars are lining up on the grid here ahead of the start of race number 1. Here's how they line up. It's Paul Maguire and Rafał Dazaschik on row 1. Ahead of Ian Tomlinson and Bobby Andrews, then Paul Monteith and Chris Lovett. Ben Hansie and George Taylor are next, ahead of Matthew Short and Daniel Grist. Then Daniel Pitchford and Sam Moody, Howard Lancashire and Zurin Dallas at the back as we are away and racing. It's a good start made there by Paul Maguire from the front row of the grid. Not such a good start for Dazaschik, so he will drop down a couple of positions on board here with Paul Monteith. In behind us there is the 72 car of Matthew Short. Around the outside is George Taylor, the two BS Motorsport teammates there running side by side through Paddock Hill Bend as we make our way towards Druid for the first time. Into second place then has come Ian Tomlinson in the Burgundy number 9 car, and unfortunately Rafał Dazaschik is starting to slip down the order, isn't he? Not had a good start there, but they dropped in towards the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend already. Paul Maguire trying to make a bit of a break at the front of the field. One car running a bit wide there in third position exiting Graham Hill Bend, but they are all safely on their way on this opening lap of the race. Back through the left-hander at Surtees, 13 minutes plus 1 laps, all of the races in the Davanti Tyres MX-5 Cup by 5 Club, and so about 14 laps we should get in around this short, sharp Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Back out through clearways we go, and that is by the looks of it, Rafał Dazaschik trying to regain some of the lost ground from the not brilliant start of the race that he had. Streaking up across the start-finish line yet again, and Dazaschik trying desperately to find a way through, gets into the back there of Ben Hansie in the number 40 car, coming through Paddock Hill Bend. Ben is defending the inside line, as is his right to do, but Dazaschik goes right around the outside there at Druids. That will give him the inside line for Graham Hill Bend, and I think that Rafał is going to go through, is he? Aggressive stuff, but it has worked, and he's back through into 4th position now, so good racing from him. Back down the Cooper Straight though, look at this, fighting back on the inside is Ben Hansie. Ben doing well here though, started down in 7th, and here he is dicing away for 4th place. A bit of contact there with Dazaschik through the right at McLaren's, now into the next right-hander at Clearways, and still Rafał's there on the inside. In fact, he's all out of shape, he gets into the side of Ben Hansie. They're both going to hold each other up now on the exit of the corner though, and so the car behind is going to be able to close in and potentially attack them as they've run near enough an entire lap side by side now around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Still Dazaschik, he's not giving in, he's on the inside line, Hansie on the outside line, and Rafał with that inside line into Paddock will go through, but can Ben Hansie maybe get the slingshot on the exit of the corner, get on the inside in towards Druids? I don't think he's going to be able to, although Rafał thought he might do, so he moved over to defend just in case, but both of those cars now with a few witness marks on the front and sides as a result of their little bits of contact that they've had. Status quo at the moment between two of them. The black car with the red wheels just about staying in front. That's Sam Moody. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, we've got car off at Clearways, which is the 122 car. That's Bill Pitchford, who was being lapped by the leaders, I think, and went off into the gravel trap up at Clearways. So that's not really the way that he wanted his race to go as we now move into the final third of the race. Still this battle going on here between Howard Lancashire and Sam Moody over what is now 9th place. Dust cloud starts to disperse from the Clearways gravel trap. Many a great racing driver though have found themselves in that gravel trap over the years. Into Paddock again. Hitting the curb if you're feeling brave on the inside, but in these reasonably lightweight cars it's quite easy actually to unsettle the car and find yourself being fired off the road. So you can't be too aggressive with your curb usage even. Back towards the sharp end of the field though, and we've still got this battle going on with, well actually Rafał Dazaschik pulling away now slightly from Matthew Short, who is starting to feel the pressure a little bit more from Daniel Grist. These two actually started 9th and 10th respectively, and they've really worked their way through the order quite nicely. Grist will be looking to try and gain that one extra position over the last minute or so of the race. Across the start-finish line again, remember it's 13 minutes plus 1 lap, so when the leader completes, when the 13-minute time runs out, the next lap that the leader completes will be the final lap. So the leader requires some way up the road from these guys, that because he's so far ahead, that might mean that they actually end up running one extra lap potentially. out of Drew as they go. There is indeed Paul Maguire. He's already coming out to Panicle Bend, and he is now on the final lap of the race. So Paul Maguire, it's been a pretty dominant performance. This good start led into turn 1 from pole position. In qualifying, he was half a second quicker than Rafael Zascic, so not much, but Rafael didn't get a good start, and so that meant that Paul Maguire really has never been headed, and as he makes his way along the Cooper Straight for the final time, he's got no one in his mirrors, he's got no one in front of him. It's just the way that he likes it. He's only a couple of corners away now from taking the checkered flag and kick-starting his championship campaign in style. Through the right-hander at clearway as he goes, you can see he's really taking it quite easy now actually as he turns out onto the pit straight. And so round number 1 of the Davanti Tyres MX-5 Cup by 5 Club is won by Paul Maguire. A dominant victory here in race 1 at Brands Hatch. He's pretty happy with that, I think, as he streaks across the start-finish line. Ian Tomlinson will come home second, only 2.2 seconds back in the end, but that's because Paul Maguire backed off on the last lap. And Ben Hansey is third because he got past Bobby Andrews towards the end of the race. We didn't see that happen, but Ben Hansey onto the podium. There's confirmation of the result then. Maguire, Tomlinson, Hansey and Andrews in the top 4. Chris Lovett is 5th ahead of Rafael Zascic 6th. Matthew Short 7th, Daniel Grist 8th, Sam Moody 9th and Howard Lancashire 10th. 11th then for George Taylor, 12th Zorin Dallas, and Bill Pitchford is 13th. Paul Monteith, unfortunately, the only non-finisher.
Paul, it could have been more difficult, but the tyres were going off at the end.
Yeah, tyres off towards the end. To be fair, I got a clean start, good getaway. I think the guy to the left bogged down a bit, so that gave me a bit of a break, and then just build it from there, really.
First race of the year, podium, second place, you've got to be happy. It wasn't easy though, especially in this temperature.
No, it was hard work in the car. I was sweating a bit, and yeah, just temperature's dead high. It's hard work, yeah.
Ben, not the best of conditions out there. It's hot. It's going to take its toll on yourself, taking control of your concentration, and obviously the tyres are going to go off.
Yeah, this heat definitely kind of plays on you, and sort of straight after lunch. It's always kind of track days are always red flag time straight after lunch. So. Definitely a good chance to make up for some problems in qualifying. I lacked a bit of winter testing, so couldn't find the balance in qualifying and sort of down further than I'd have wanted to be in qualifying. So good couple of first laps, a little bit of elbows out, which is standard Mazda racing stuff, but really good race.
Race 2 for the Davanti Tyres MX-5 Cup is about to get underway. The cars are lined up as they finished the first race, so it's Paul Maguire on pole position and Ian Tomlinson in second. Paul, scorching hot here. How's the car holding up? How are you going to handle going into the first corner? You've got a lot of fast cars behind you.
Well, to be fair, it's the second time the car's been out since Christmas. So it proved a point yesterday, which is good. The top 7 drivers, if you look at the lap times from yesterday, it was all dead on. It was all within thousands. So it's going to be an exciting race.
You're going to win?
Yeah.
Good work. With that, let's keep an eye on him. Andy McEwen, over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Anthony. Going to be an interesting one this, see how close the times are in the even hotter conditions today. Here's the grid. It's based on how they finished yesterday's race. So Paul Maguire for me and Tomlinson row 1 ahead of Hansey and Andrews row 2. But what Paul Maguire was saying there about how close together the tyres were in race 1. If he can make the break again at the start of race 2, that will really help his cause. Right, we're away in racing. Good start made by Ben Hansey there from the inside of row number 2, and he latches straight onto the rear bumper of our race 1 winner Paul Maguire as they rush towards Panicle Bend for the first time. Maguire will take the lead. Hansey coming through into second, and here comes Bobby Andrews up into third place potentially at the expense of front row sitter Ian Tomlinson. We heard there, courtesy of Paul Maguire, that it was a missed gear that cost Bobby Andrews his podium finish in race 1, but he's straight away trying to get into the podium positions at the start of this one. He has to settle into 4th, so Tomlinson finds his space in line in 3rd. There's Zascic there, going up the inside for 5th, and I think he will do that. That's at the expense of Chris Lovett, who gets elbowed out over the grass as they make their way out of Graham Hill Bend and down the Cooper Straight, and he's still on the grass, so they turn into Surtees. Only now does he find his space in line and manage to keep it on the black stuff. So Maguire leads the way, but Ben Hansey in second place. Now, Ben didn't start all that strongly in race 1, grid position-wise. He was down in 7th on the grid, but worked his way through, of course, to finish 3rd. So he's clearly got the speed in race situation anyway. Has he got the speed to close in on Maguire and beat him to a race victory? Now, that's going to be tough to do. Another driver, by the way, to keep an eye out for the back of the grid is Paul Monteith, who we saw pull off into retirement, having been running inside the top 5 or so at the start of race 1, only to have a mechanical issue that forced him out of the race. We're on board now with Paul Monteith as he dives up the inside there of George Taylor in the 82 car, the other of the BS Motorsport cars. George tries to and backing him on the extra Druid, but Monteith ought to be a little bit quicker. He certainly qualified ahead of him in the race earlier on. So out of Graham Hill when they go, there's this Disaschik and Chris Lovett battle, and on board with Lovett, looking back at Matthew Short in the number 72 car. Into clearways they go, up over the curve on the inside. We saw lots of wayward moments up at that part of the circuit in yesterday's first race, didn't we? Not the same story today. It is the same story at the front of the field, though. It seems that Paul Maguire has been able to pull a gap already over Hansey and Tomlinson, dicing over second. Back on board with Paul Monteith further down the order as he tries to inch his way now inside the top 10 and further up the top 10, in fact. As we've got a car in the gravel, oh no, and that's Bobby Andrews, I think, who's gone through the gravel trap at Paddock Hill Bend, throws away the 4th position that he was holding on to, and that will now elevate the Disaschik and Lovett battle now to be a fight for 4th rather than a fight for 5th. But that was a big moment there for Bobby Andrews, and that has cost him lots and lots of places. It also now has detached him well and truly from the back of this 2nd place battle, where there are plenty of hand gestures being shown from Ben Hansey there to Ian Tomlinson. I presume that's Ben telling Ian, don't try and overtake me, let's work together and see if we can catch the race leader. But it just doesn't look as though either of them have the pace of Paul Maguire this weekend. Paul with this very healthy lead already. Remember, one race won by just over 2 seconds in the end, but he backed right off for the last lap or so. Said he was struggling a bit with tyres, and he will be he should really have finished quite a bit further up the road than that. Slippery surface flag out at Paddock Hill Bend. That's because there will be presumably half of the gravel. Yes, look at that, half of the gravel trap there from Paddock Hill Bend, right in the middle of the road after Bobby Andrews drug it back out onto the track a lap ago. So that will take a few laps to clear. All with Lovett here, looking back at Matthew Short, and by the looks of it, that's Daniel Grist in the 43 car trying to close in on him. Conditions even warmer today than they were yesterday, and as we documented in yesterday's race, even though the cars run on grooved tyres, it's still possible to overheat those tyres. This is interesting. That's Matthew Short back ahead now of Daniel Grist. It looked like Daniel had been pulling away from Matthew, but Matthew's caught him back up over the last lap or so and has retaken the position. So Paul Monteith were on board with his following those two around, trying to join in the fun if he can. Really see the compression there through the dip as we ride on board with Paul. Back through Druids he will go, and it's been a strange race this for Paul. I really did think that he'd be able to get past the likes of Daniel Grist and Matthew Short a bit more quickly than he has, but it just goes to show, as I said, how competitive it is. He is now, though, alongside Grist, and he's going to go through. So that's one more place gained by Paul Monteith. Matthew Short, the next of his targets, as they go through Surtees, McLaren and clearways. He will look maybe to try and get in the slipstream down the pit straight, but he's been struggling to get past Short for quite some laps now. Back onto the straight they go, which is actually not really straight, it's curved pretty much right the way down the length of the start-finish line, and that just makes lining the car up for Paddock Hill Bend that little bit more tricky, because you are doing so on a corner. Side by side for 3rd place there, Raffle Disaschik is up the inside of Ben Hansey, and he's going through. I thought for a moment maybe that Chris Lovett could have followed him, but no, it is just Disaschik that goes ahead. So good stuff there from Raffle. We didn't see how that started, but he has made the move. Has he now got the time or the pace to close in on Ian Tomlinson? His first priority has to be to try and get away from Ben Hansey and Chris Lovett, but if those two start dicing behind, that could give him a chance to escape. Lovett will want to keep Disaschik in his sights because they have been fairly evenly matched all weekend. Back out towards the end of another lap. We're getting now into the closing stages of this 2nd round of the Davanti Tyres MX-5 Cup by 5 Club, and Rafael Disaschik has just moved through into 3rd position, sorry, into 2nd position, no, 3rd, I was right the first time, as we do now go on to the final lap. So 3rd place for Disaschik, 4th for Hansey. He's off the podium for the time being. Oh, Rafael flirting with danger again there coming out of Paddock Hill Bend. But in fact it's Lovett who's on the attack, looking to the outside of Ben Hansey at Druids, and that is exactly what Rafael wants to see in his mirrors, because it just means that he's been able to pull out that little bit of a gap over the 2 cars behind. He doesn't have the time to close in on Ian Tomlinson, unfortunately, but if he can just hold on to this 3rd place, that will be a first podium finish of the season, of course. So they make their way up through Surtees for the final time. I don't think Chris Lovett's going to be close enough to have a go into the final corner, but as the they dice away for the lower positions at the start-finish line, it is Paul Maguire taking win number 2 from 2 here at Brands Hatch in more dominant fashion even than he did in race 1. Ian Tomlinson comes home second, nearly 8 seconds further back. Third place for Rafał Dazaschik, fourth Ben Hansey, and fifth for Chris Lovett. However, we are being notified of a 5-second time penalty for Rafał Dazaschik, so that will actually drop him back down the order. So here is the confirmation of that result. It's Maguire from Tomlinson from Hansey third again, Lovett fourth, and Dazaschik drops down to fifth. Matthew Short is sixth, Daniel Grist is seventh, then Bobby Andrews eighth, George Taylor ninth, and Paul Monteith 10th. Then Moody, Howard Lancashire, Zarin Dallas, and Bill Pitchford round out the 14 finishers.
Paul spoke to you before the race and you're saying you wanted to get a clean start, and you did it, and it went well.
It's all about the start. I mean, the green flag lap didn't go so well, the start on that one, so I would have bogged down if that was the real race start. To be fair, once you go into the first 2 corners alone, you're almost free and clear. They tussle behind you, so you've got the time to sort of just get away.
Ian, he starts second on the grid. It was a great start by Paul, he couldn't have caught him. Is it just going to be chasing him all year now?
Well, no, hopefully not. Brands isn't my favourite track, to be honest, so I'm hoping somewhere else I might be able to, you know, get a bit closer to him.
Race 3 of the Davanti Tyres MX-5 Cup is about to get underway. Got a healthy grid about to head out on track, so for the last time this weekend, I'll hand you up to our race commentator, Andy McEwen.
Thanks very much, Anthony. We've got a reversed grid for this one as well. So it's George Taylor and Bobby Andrews on row 1, ahead of Daniel Grist and Matthew Short. Then Rafał Dazaschik and Chris Lovett ahead of Ben Hansey and Ian Tomlinson, with Paul Maguire on the 5th row of the grid. So our double race victor so far this weekend, lining up down in 9th with the fairly rapid Paul Monteith alongside him as well. So here we go for the final time this weekend. We're off for racing, and we're going to be 3 abreast immediately up towards Paddock Bend, with the 2 BS Motorsport cars going either side there of Bobby Andrews. On the inside line is George Taylor, on the outside Matthew Short, and oh, it's all gone wrong, has it? Andrews is off, Bobby Andrews is off, and also there was another car getting sideways there as well. Bobby Andrews is off into the tyre wall. I fear that might have been, no, it wasn't Ian Tomlinson, it was Chris Lovett then, I think, who was getting sideways as well and losing ground. Yes, it was the red car I saw getting sideways, but Bobby Andrews out of the race at the first corner, and the red flag flies immediately. So the race is being stopped just because that car is in a dangerous position, and in such a short race it makes no sense to bring out the safety car, because that's the most of the race gone. So we do this all over again then. The cars are released from the grid once more, and it's another good shot made by Matthew Short, and this time it's a much easier run in towards Paddock Bend for him. Chris Lovett also makes a good start this time around. He moves through into second place. Ian Tomlinson, the Burgundy car, trying to come around the outside for third. It's all very, very tight indeed through Paddock Bend. Paul Maguire getting in on the action as well. Ben Hansey just in front of us. Of course, they were the top 2 in the, well, they were both on the podium, excuse me, in both of our races so far this weekend. There is Hansey, the white and green number 40 car around the outside, on board with Paul Monteith. Now, he started alongside Paul Maguire, who is the blue and orange car you can see well off in the distance. So that's the sort of progress that Maguire has made from the start. He's going to make another place there as well, at the expense of a very sideways George Taylor, our erstwhile pole sitter, who very nearly lost another place coming out of Graham Hill Bend. So the leading 2 there, Matthew Short leads the way, but he goes wide at clearways, and up the inside comes Chris Lovett. So Lovett takes over the race lead. How much momentum has that cost Matthew Short? Will Ian Tomlinson be able to come through? You'd have to be looking at the likes of Tomlinson and Hansey to lead the charge to get to the front, and they'll be wanting to get there before Paul Maguire arrives on the scene, because Paul has been the class of the field this weekend. He's had by far the most pace in race conditions of anyone else out there, and if they let him get back to the front of the field and break clear, that may well be the last they see of him. For the time being, Maguire is still bogged down in the pack as Bears on the inside. That was a cheeky move being made there by Daniel Grist. It almost worked as well, as he tried to find a way past Ian Tomlinson. In the end, it costs him exit speed, and so Ben Hansey draws alongside almost on the way towards Graham Hill Bend. In the end, though, the places stay the same. So Tomlinson stays third, Grist is still fourth. Fifth place, you can't see it because he took so close behind Grist, is Ben Hansey there. And then sixth place, he's now going to be Paul Maguire, because finally he finds a way past George Taylor into towards clearways. Any move being made here? Hansi having a little look to the inside of Daniel Grist, who just slithers a bit wide. There is Rafał Dazaschik, who has had some sort of drama at the start of this one, I think, because he started on the third row of the grid, but for the second time this weekend, his first lap hasn't quite gone to plan, and what was a promising grid position has turned into now a hard day's work. Here we go, Ben Hansi back up the inside of Grist here, trying to take fourth place away at Paddock Bend, and Paul Maguire reads the situation well, gets a much better exit from the corner than either of them, but Hansi is wise to it, moves over to the inside to defend. Maguire now has to go to the outside on the way into Druids, but doesn't really see the need in taking the risk. He's already won the first 2 rounds of the championship. He doesn't really need to get involved in any sort of silliness in race 3. Just pick his way through as and when the opportunities present themselves. In towards clearways again, he takes a wider line in, keeps it on the straight and narrow this time as well. No great sideways antics on the way into clearways. On the way out, he's a bit tail happy, but just so eager to get on the throttle and get in that slipstream. He's going to be close enough to try the same manoeuvre again as we flash across the start-finish line, up towards Paddock Bend, outside line for Maguire once more, inside line for Lovett, but actually Maguire didn't take an ultra smooth line into the corner. It might still be enough though. Can Lovett get over to defend this time? I don't think he can. Paul Maguire has his nose in the door, late on the brakes. No, still Chris Lovett will not let him through. He runs a bit deep into the corner. He was so late on the brakes there to try and deter Maguire from going up the inside, but it doesn't really matter because the next corner is a left-hander. Watch for the exit speed from the blue and orange car though. He's going to have better momentum down the straight, but again as he hits the loud pedal, the rear of the car is hanging out sideways, and so he can't really execute these switchback manoeuvres the way he has been doing because the rear tyres aren't there for him. They have now well and truly been caught, by the way, by Ian Tomlinson, so this is going to be a 3-way fight as we go on to what I think will be the final lap of the race. Wide line out of clearways there for Chris Lovett. He needs to be careful not to leave the door open for Maguire as we come across the start-finish line. Maguire once again is faced with the outside line up towards Paddock Bend. 1, 2, 3 across the line onto the final lap of the race. Lovett defends heavily. This could hurt him on the exit of the corner though. Watch for Maguire. Lovett's going to run out wide. Maguire keeps it tight. No, Lovett saw it coming, held back on the throttle mid-corner. It loses him speed out of the turn, but it meant he got back across to the inside to defend. Maguire goes to the outside. They both run a bit deep. Watch out for Ian Tomlinson as well. Any one of these 3 drivers could still win the race. We've still got over half a lap to go. Outside line again into Graham Hill Bend for Maguire. Can he make this move stick? No, Chris Lovett is placing the car absolutely perfectly. Heads to the defensive line down the Cooper straight. Maguire trying to pull to the outside into Surtees. It's a brave man who tries this. He gets sideways again on the marbles. One more corner to go. One more chance to overtake, and I think Chris Lovett is going to defend it. He doesn't run too wide on the exit, but it will be a drag race to the line. Look at Paul Maguire, completely out of shape, but that's done it. Chris Lovett has been given the breathing room that he needed, and he will win round number 3 of the Davanti Tyres MX-5 Cup by 5 Club. Second is almost a dead heat finish. It just goes the way of Paul Maguire. It's third place for Ian Tomlinson, but what a race that was. The top 3 covered by half a second after 14 laps of racing. Confirmation of the result then. Lovett from Maguire from Tomlinson, your top 3. Ben Hansi is 4th and Dazaschik in 5th. Then Matthew Short, Daniel Grist, George Taylor, Paul Monteith only 9th, and Daniel Pitchford down in 10th position. 11th was Howard Lancashire, 12th was Sam Moody. We lost Zeren Dallas and Bobby Andrews with that red flag incident at the start, and Paul Maguire took the fastest lap.
Well, Paul, he wasn't first on track, but Chris Lovett is in the championship. He's not here to score points, so that hands you the win for the championship. But you came from 9th to 1st. What a race that was.
It was phenomenal. I'm still grinning. If I'd known he was a guest at the beginning, I might not have tried to lose it by getting past him 3 or 4 times. I could see Ian catching, and I just had to either get past him or just literally stick with him. And I tried and tried, but he had a very wide Mazda.
Ian, you started 8th. Second isn't bad, and especially when you went over the line 400ths of a second behind him.
No, it was very close, wasn't it? I was just a few inches off, you know. But yeah, maybe next time.
Ben, you said Brands isn't your favourite circuit, but to walk away with 3 podiums, you've got to be happy with that.
I'm over the moon with that. The guys at BS Motorsport have put together a massively great car for this year. If I can keep putting it on the podium, then that's repaying them guys.
Well, unfortunately, that brings an end to the racing here at Brands Hatch. What a fantastic weekend it's been with the 750 Motor Club. If you want to see some more action, please tune in next time.